All right, so today we're diving into a major update from Google's Gemini AI. And look, this isn't just another small update. This is a fundamental shift, a really big deal in how an AI actually thinks, especially when the problems get really tough. This changes the game. Let's get into it.
You know, it's the question on everyone's mind, right? How smart can these things truly become? Well, what if I told you that the rulebook for answering that question just got torn up? Because we're seeing a shift away from AIs that are good at trivia to AIs that can actually tackle the kind of problems that usually make them stumble.
Okay, so this is the number that's got everyone's attention. On a key test for abstract reasoning, the last Gemini model scored a pretty decent 31%. The new version, a whopping 77.1%. I mean, think about that. In just a few months, Google more than doubled its performance. That's not just an improvement, folks. That's a sign that something has fundamentally changed under the hood.
And listen, the reason that number is so important is because this isn't some open book test. It's all about throwing brand new logic puzzles at the AI, stuff it has never, ever seen before. It's the difference between a student who just memorizes the textbook and one who can actually solve a problem they've never encountered. It's about true problem solving, not just being a really good parrot.
And look, this isn't a one-off fluke. It's not like they just aced one test. We're seeing this massive leap pretty much everywhere. Take Apex Agents, for example, which is all about long professional tasks. The score nearly doubled. And for the real hardcore coding benchmarks, it's putting up numbers that are just elite. This tells us the upgrade is solid, and it's built for the real world.
So what does all this mean in practice? What can it actually do now? Well, according to the CEO of Merck, this new model is already doing things that no other AI has ever been able to do. The message here is pretty clear. We're blowing past the old limits. We're talking about tackling professional work that used to be impossible for AI. Okay, so that's the what. Let's get to the so what. Why build an AI that's so good at this specific kind of reasoning? And Google's been super clear about this. This is for when the easy answer just isn't going to work. You see, it's designed from the ground up to handle really complex stuff. We're talking about those long, messy projects with a ton of steps and advanced reasoning. And get this, it's also built to take in a huge variety of information: text, images, video, even entire code bases. And not just see them, but actually understand how it all connects. So how does it do that? Well, the secret sauce is this massive 1 million token context window. To put that in plain English, it means the model can look at an entire project all at once, instead of just tiny little pieces. That's the kind of scale you absolutely need for the kind of complex problems we're talking about here. All right, let's move from the abstract to the concrete. What does this new reasoning power actually let you create? Because we're really moving past just getting text back. We're talking about AI that can turn an idea into something real and functional. One of the coolest examples I've seen is how it handles animation. You just describe the animation you want in plain text, and bam, Gemini 3.1 Pro writes the actual code to make it happen as an SVG. And the result? A perfectly sharp, scalable animation with a file size that's practically nothing. I mean, if you build websites or educational tools, this is a total game changer. But it doesn't stop at 2D. The model's reasoning goes straight into 3D. It can create live 3D simulations, and get this, with real-time hand tracking and even generative audio. This is huge for engineers, for researchers, anyone who needs to interact with the system, not just read a report about it.
Okay, so this tech is obviously really impressive. But the big question is, where are you actually going to see it? And the answer is, well, pretty much everywhere. Google sees this as a new foundational layer of intelligence.
So this isn't some lab experiment tucked away in a corner. It's being rolled out across the whole Google ecosystem. We're talking the consumer app, developer tools like AI Studio, platforms for big companies, the whole shebang. But here's the kicker, the potential Apple integration. Rumor has it this is the tech that could be the new brains behind Siri.
And you know what's also wild? The speed of all this. The last version came out in November. This huge update dropped just 3 months later in February. And that Apple deal? It could happen as soon as this month. That's an incredibly fast turnaround, and it shows they're really pushing this out into the world.
Now, whenever you talk about an AI this powerful, you have to talk about safety. It's the elephant in the room. So how is Google handling this? Well, they're being pretty careful, taking it step by step to make sure the right guardrails are in place.
They're calling this a preview release. So what does that actually mean?
It basically means they're testing it out in the wild, getting feedback and making tweaks. It's a way to check for safety and reliability while they're rolling out the new features before it goes out to absolutely everyone.
And to their credit, Google is being pretty open about their internal safety checks. So for text and language safety, it's actually gotten a little bit better. Now, there's a small step back in image to text safety, but they say that's mostly the system being too cautious. False alarms, basically. But here's the most important part. For the really serious frontier risks, things like cybersecurity, the model is staying well below any warning levels. It shows they're being responsible with this rollout.
Okay, so let's boil this all down. What are the big takeaways? First, this is a huge leap in reasoning, not just memorizing facts. Second, it's built for the tough stuff, the complex professional jobs where a simple answer won't do. Third, this is becoming a core intelligence layer for Google's entire world, and maybe Apple's too. And finally, they're doing this carefully, as a preview, with a close eye on safety.
And that really brings us to the final, and maybe most important idea here. This move from an AI that just repeats information to one that can actually reason. That's one of the biggest stories in tech right now. So I want to leave you with this question. As these AIs become our partners in problem solving, what are the really big, hairy, complex problems we should ask them to tackle next? Something to think about. Thanks for tuning in.